Hi. Hi, Guillermo.
Hello.
Long time no see.
Yes.
What are you drinking?
The tea.
Very healthy. But you drink tea at night? Is it okay for you?
It is camomilla. It is.
Camomilla.
Hmm?
Camomilla.
It is. What is the name? I don't know the name in English. It makes you sleep.
Okay. So it's
Like
a
a yellow flower.
little flower. Natural, yeah. It's very natural. That's cool. Okay.
Probably a flower.
Yes. It's like this is another this is another flower you drink and then you start to have a illusion.
No.
No. Okay. Because audience might wonder because
Because of the previous
episode. Yes,
antecedents. Yes.
that's cool. Okay, so today we are going to talk about this incident. I believe we were last time we were in the secret military. You mentioned there was a time you were there, and then I guess this incident stopped you from staying there, yeah? Something happened. So what happened? Tell us what
Well,
happened.
I started to feel this was, I don't know, we calculated last time which year it was. Probably 2005.
And
In this place in the Chile, in this
stay in Chile. Okay.
Valle del Elqui.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in this amazing experience with learning meditation and meeting complete new type of people than ever before. It was already like a higher level of sophistication in this place, which I never experienced before. And I was really happy there. And after 3 months, I started to get, or a little bit before 3 months, I started to feel like a very strong intuition that there was a problem with my house.
You feel that? You just feel that?
Yes, there was no phones. I had no computer, no access to. Probably I had some very, very rudimentary access to. No, not even to emails or nothing. I didn't know nothing of that world yet. Already in 2005, I have zero contact with technology, I think.
Wow.
Maybe there was some kind of feeling about it, but I knew that it existed, but I was quite marginal by choice. So I'm living in a village before this specific travel. We were in a village living, so I probably had some kind of maybe a computer in a library that I would visit at some point to write to somebody. I don't know. I probably didn't have any connection with internet. So I was there. I was around 28 to 29. And then I started to feel very strongly that there was a big problem with my house and I should come back. And because I was traveling already for almost 5 or 6 months, probably, since I started. And then, so I just, I don't know, because at that point in my life, I was mostly following my intuition. That was the normal way when I took decisions about doing something or not. It was just about how I felt. And this was something related with some kind of social training that I get from living in this town where my house was located, which was a town where it was all kind of healers and the spiritual new age people and artists. It was a place that was similar to this valley. It was a place where people from the cities in Argentina would move in order to experience a little bit more like a hippie style of life, communities in nature, exploring, I don't know, these healing techniques and arts, and it was an exceptional place. My house was there because there was a problem with my mother. There was a moment when my mother and I ended up in this village, which this is another story, but we were living there. We arrived there under very unusual conditions, and eventually she found her own place, renting a room or something, and I was living in a radio. At some point, after I think 1 year of being there, my mother was around 65 and I was 28, something like that, 23 when this happened. And then she got at some point some friends who suggest her to occupy a land. And then she says, I will occupy this land, and then can you help me to make a house? And then I say, yes, why not? But I had zero idea how to make a house. But we struggled for some months, and she bought some kind of material, and then somehow with the neighbor, we built this house. And she struggled for 1 year there, and then after she decided that she wanted to go because it was too cold, and I don't know. She just decided that wanted to go back to the city, and then she asked me if I want to keep the house or if she just give it to somebody else. And because I didn't have any kind of house there, I was living other people's places. I say, okay, I can take it. And then I remodeled it with a friend, the help of a friend, and then I kind of rebuild it again. And every year I would go for a trip somewhere, or more than once a year sometimes. Nearby in Chile, or maybe a bit further away, or I would go to Buenos Aires and back. It's 2,000 kilometers from this place. This place was called El Bolsón, and it is a village in the Patagonia, on the mountains area. And it is very near a big city that is a little bit more known, that is called Bariloche. And then, so I would go, I lived there for 6 years in this place. And the story of my house when it was in danger is around the 5th year or 4th, where I felt that this house was in danger. And then I decided to quit the monastery. I come back, I hitchhiked for around 1 week from north of Chile to the south of Chile, and then I cross the Andes, and then I get to this town in Bolsón. Maybe it was like 1 week or something like that of constant hitchhiking, and then sometimes waiting, sometimes on the truck with somebody, all kinds of adventures that I don't remember so well. And when I get there, I find a donkey inside my garden. And then
Very suspicious donkey.
a suspicious donkey, because I don't have any donkey. And then it was there parked. And the house was like a triangle of around like maybe like some kind of 100 meters long, for 50 meters on the base. At the end of like some kind of occupied area by people, very near the river, like 100 meters from a river that would grow a lot or get dry, depends on the moment of the year. That's why it was illegal land, because the river can just take everything. But people would live there anyway, So I create a fence all around, and very slowly, through time, and then I build this house, and then on the part that was like a point, it was like the street, and on the part that was the base of this triangle, that was the land, it was the neighbor who helped my mother to build the house in the first time, which I remodeled it. When I come back, I found out that he changed my house for a car. After 6 months of absence of me, I left somebody taking care of the house, but because the house didn't have electricity or water, people didn't last long in this role. And then I left a friend, and this friend left somebody else, and this somebody else left somebody else to take care of the house, until the person who was living there had no idea who I was, because it was just a chain of delivering this responsibility, because it was too hard to live in these conditions unless you had all this mystical added content to interpret the reality. No? So I made a hole, and then I take water from a hole, and I had candles, and I have to go to the hill to cut wood and bring it down, and then with this wood I would cook and keep myself warm. So the point is, when I come back, I found this donkey, and then at some point, after a couple of hours, that I start probably making some noise and cleaning, I see the neighbor shows up, and then he explained me, the wife of the neighbor actually shows up, and then she explained me that this donkey belonged to the new owner of the house, which was this guy who would exchange it for a car.
Do you know this guy? Or
No, I know the neighbor, but I didn't know this third guy, because the guy thought that I was gone probably, or that I would never come back, and then he just traded my house for a car. So yeah, actually I was right. I went there like a few hours before the guy would take possession of the house. And this was the way I was living at this time. Like everything that I felt somehow makes sense to the reality, even if I had no way to know the things. But there was some kind of training into this specific type of perceiving the reality. So yeah, I was there, and then after 1 year, I decided again to go to the monastery. And this time, I spent 5 months there. Because at this time already, I had this very transcendental experience in the monastery that would change my perspective of life enormously. And I wasn't so attached anymore to this village and to this way of life and to this place that I was for almost 5 or 6 years. I always felt that since the moment I arrived, I started to feel that was my home in a way. No? This village and this type of people and this culture and this landscape with mountains and forest and transparent rivers. This was really like the place I would call home, because I hated the city at this point. And even if I was born in Buenos Aires, I really felt that this was my land. And I spent a lot of time in nature, searching for this wood that I needed constantly to cook and to warm myself. But also, I made very long trips during the night, very often during these years, walking in the forest in the night. And I would spend sometimes the whole night, because I have a friend like, 6 hours away by foot. So I end up knowing all these paths through the forest, and I was constantly in nature, also doing exercises to alter the perception. Like I would maybe cross my eyes and then walk in this way, or I would walk backwards, or I would walk in four legs, or I would walk with the closed eyes, or in the middle of the dark. And I was trying to train my mind, my perception to experience other type of things that humans can experience, but in our societies we try to avoid. No, why would you walk in the night? There's no point in that, or it's dangerous, or it has to be some specific purpose to do that. But for me, all these actions were more like try to train my mind into being unconventional in a way. I was really determined to do that based on some things I was reading, but also I think, maybe this was my way of being also. So I would also spend a lot of time walking backwards, or doing strange move up and down the hill in four legs. And at the same time, I was also like collecting herbs
Herbs.
Yes, there were some kind of aromatic and medicinal herbs that you could collect there. Depends, every 2 weeks there is something to harvest. No, from the beginning of the springtime till the end of the summer, there is so, and even till the end of autumn, there is always something to collect in the forest in Patagonia. No? So you have 2 weeks, like something is full ready, could be flowers or fruits or leaves or nuts, depend on the season. And then slowly I study these things a little bit. Everybody knows them, but because I was so much in the forest, I could actually find them, find these things, and then I learned how to dry them. And eventually I even traveled one day with one girlfriend by selling these plants in the trip. No, we had to put a fabric on the floor, put these envelopes with these different herbs that I already collected and dried the previous 6 months or something like that, and we were living from that. This was an earlier stages when I was not even doing music yet, to earn my living in the streets. So when I go the second time to this monastery after 5 months, it was the first time in I don't know how many years, probably around 6 or 7 or 8 years, that I was moving constantly every 3 months. So when I, with the support of the monastery and all this tradition and all this practice that gives you so much energy and concentration and detachment from normal life, I managed to break this spell of every 3 months moving, and I stay 5 months in one place. And this was some kind of a symbol of change of life path or something, like something changed in me because I had the power to go beyond this pattern, this constant living, you know. And then I got again the feeling like that something was very wrong with my house, and I had the conscious decision to let it go. Because in a way, this house was something that was very connected with my mother. So it was something like a little bit like some kind of inheritance, but not in the sense that I got money or something, but I got like a house built in the worst place that I would never choose. And then I had to fight with the neighbors and with the conditions and with the stigma of living in this area and being completely isolated from the people that I care for, in the sense that none of the people that I would communicate naturally with would choose to live in such a place. This was like a very worker, low class, or extremely poor area, where people would just build their house, a little cabin with some wood, you know. And that was my mother somehow identitary group, the group of people that she felt she belonged to, and she gave me this gift to me. But at the same time, I was too strange for this context, and I was constantly partially harassed by the neighbors, or they were afraid of my behavior, which was too unconventional. Nothing special, but the fact that I was not just like everybody else, working and drinking and I don't know what, listening this type of music that I listened was already too suspicious. And also, like, I was not from there. I was somebody from Buenos Aires, with all these hippies. Well, I was an artist, and they were non-artists, so it was an obvious contrast. So in a way, when I was in this place again, at a much higher level of energy or like discovery than the previous time, I had all kinds of experiences in this temple with myself, with the tradition of Zen, and with some very strong friends that I discovered there, and also with some random people that pass by, who also affect me a lot in terms of like, this was a period of my life of around 15 years or something like that, when I was somehow so in some kind of introspected world and identity that anything that I interacted with could change my direction. A conversation could make me decide to actually move somewhere completely different, or go away from some place, or learn a new skill, or learn a new whatever. Like I could go anywhere all the time. But I was searching for something deeper, something truthful. I was searching for what it means to be a human and what was the purpose of my life. This was a very clear search. But I could do that anywhere, because whichever experience I would have, I would confront my inner world, and I would be compelled to witness who I am. So in the end, I could choose anything, and I was choosing things that were somehow epic to me. No, that's why we came up with this concept of epic life, because with the process that you helped me do when you were here in Ljubljana last year, or maybe it's more than 1 year, it was to recognize that in the life until the moment when we met, I was always following the most epic offer, basically. Tell me something crazy and I will do it. More than trying to keep some kind of stability or trying to. I was always. So in this sense, the experience in the monastery was really strong, because my personality, I don't know, went through many authorized transformations. No, like I authorized a transformation with my consciousness when I was invited to experience it. It was not like I was like doing whatever it crossed my path. It was more like I had already like formed some sort of like judgment criteria of what was correct and what wasn't. And then based on the stimuli that I got from the outside, I would decide if this was a good possibility or not. Because I also rejected a lot of things that I didn't feel that they were good. So I had already a very strong self criteria that would define more or less what was my direction. No? Maybe I was working in something. Let's say I was working in dancing or something, a connection with my body. So I would prioritize the decisions that were leading me in that way. But at some point, I will just change completely and then go into technology, for example. No? And then I will just prioritize every offer, every possibility which leads me towards more and more technological experiences, like moving to a city, for example. Or there was I remember there was something that was some kind of feeling of I hated the city, so I moved to the countryside. And then after years in the countryside, I got the feeling in this hippie town, I got the feeling that I was so far into this subconscious and intuition and unconventional lifestyle that I thought I would become crazy, which was one of the elements that I mentioned in a previous dialogue with you here, that the only real danger that I felt that was in the world was becoming crazy, basically. So when I got this feeling, I turned around completely. I somehow took the decision that I need to go towards the city again. And then I started to move to more and more civilized places. When I moved from this place, I moved to another, and now I end up in Slovenia and in the European Union, which is one of the more structured and formal places that you can be. There is probably maybe Germany or Switzerland could be a little bit more, but it's almost at the top of organization in the sense of the possibilities of the world. And I was on the other edge when I was 27, completely into the wild kind of. I was not living per se in a cave, but I was constantly in this interaction with nature and with these inner forces and inner perceptions. So when I decided that the house was belonging to this heritage of my mother, and I was already contemplating like a vast world of possibilities with this new type of people, with the technique of Zen, I took the conscious decision of letting go of this. But I had no phone call, no. I just had the feeling that this was happening, and then I Probably I made some small ritual somewhere in this temple at some point, and I kind of let it go in a way. And then I renounced to all these things because until then that was my home, and I would travel freely, but I would come back home. I had my friends, I had my belongings, I had my whatever little I had, it was there, and the house that took me so much effort to build. So this cabin with wooden cabin. So leaving this behind was really like a very extremely strong spiritual decision or philosophical, human, empirical decision. I either felt a lot of pain for that, but I felt the attachment that my character had towards this possibility and how identified I was with that identity in a way. How much I felt that this was my home and was my village and this was my friends and this was the one that existed, that was my real me. The me back there in Patagonia with all these friends, and the new me that was in Chile in a Zen temple with completely different behavior and relationships. This was the new me that kind of took over in a way. And after that, I got a phone call eventually. I don't know how, because it doesn't make any sense, but somebody.
Wait. I probably need to stop you here
Yes.
with the phone call. We don't want to tell people what is the phone call is, okay? So we are going to say this is a surprise phone call, or something like that, okay? Then we are going to talk about what happened in this phone call.
Yes.
And
Next
time. So going to,
did I speak again for half an hour?
yes. This
What a phenomenon.
thank you for mentioning this phone call. So we can continue. I will write it down. And I also want to know what is happening in the phone call, but I'm not going to ask. So thank you, Guillermo, for today's talk. It was wonderful. You went very smoothly, very quickly, so it was good.
30-minute speech. Oh my
Yes,
God.
yes.
No
Already
pause.
30 minutes. Yes. So it's cool. So this is a secret phone call. Okay. So we are going to continue next time, the next episode. And thank you everybody to continue following us, listen into our story of Guillermo. And please remember to subscribe and share. See you next time.
See you, people in the world.